All right, let's get started. Namaste everyone. Welcome to Hindi University. Really excited to have all of you this Sunday at Hindi University. As you know, my name is Ashutosh. We meet every Sunday 8 a.m. US Pacific time to learn about the Hindi language. For those of you who are new to Hindi University, you can learn more about us by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hindi University, where you can find all the prior videos that we have conducted. If you're interested in joining the live session that we have every Sunday, you can find all the details on this page, which is tiny.cc/Hindi University. Where you will find all the details about how to join the class, which is our Zoom link, and you'll find the details about the practice sessions that we have, which are organized by our, friends as well. And then you'll find the details about the books that we are following in this class. So as you know, this year we're following two books, intermediate and advanced class books, both at the parallel. So we're covering two books this year. One is the Pingu Learn Hindi, and the second one we have covering is Advanced Hindi Grammar by Professor Usha Jain. Okay, both the details about both the books you can find in this page, tiny.cc/Hindi University. We've started a new topic lately, which is basically Hindi adverbs. What are adverbs? What is the advantage of using adverbs in a Hindi sentence? Today we will continue the topic. Last class we learned two types of adverbs. Okay, this class will continue to build on top of it. We'll also learn about the placement. Where do you really put Hindi adverbs in a given sentence? Because typically, as you know, Hindi is an SOV language. You have a subject, object, and verb. Okay, within that framework, where do you really place the adverbs? And so that we'll be covering as well. And towards the end of the class, as you know, we have recently introduced a section for Hindi listening. And we started a small story. Okay, if you missed that, you can find on the very first page of tiny.cc/Hindi University, you will see a small link for Hindi story. Okay, that's in case if you miss it, that's the best way for you to sort of catch up on the prior part, Hindi story. Okay, in this case, I will be really reading the story slowly, and the idea is you have to follow. A lot of things you may not know, a lot of vocabulary may be new to you, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point, that within that given day or context, how much you can extract from that. Okay, and I'll continue to make it more complicated, because I think that's the only way for you to kind of push yourself. Okay, so that's my goal, is to cover these many things in this class. And feel free to stop me. The whole point is to make sure that all of us can learn together. Okay, for folks who are joining live through Facebook, thank you so much, Babra ji, Leah ji, and Pranjal ji, and many others. Okay, so with that, let's get started with the Hindi adverbs. So as I don't want to put you on the spot at the very beginning of the class, but just to kind of brush up the memory, Hindi adverbs. What are Hindi adverbs? I think we covered it. These are, Hindi grammar construct which modifies or enhances in a given sentence verbs or an adjective or other adverbs. Okay, those are called Hindi adverbs. Okay, so imagine when we say a simple example, he plays. He plays. You know that, he plays, let's say he plays football. You know that play is a verb, but it does not tell you how does he play. Okay, whether he plays aggressively, patiently, skillfully, all of those are enhancing the verb play. Okay, so in this case, they are describing you how this person plays. Those are adverbs. Those are adverbs of verbs, right? So we discussed those in the previous class, how adverb that describes the how part. Okay, skillfully, patiently, aggressively, anything that is ending with, or a lot of the words that are ending with ly, they all are adverbs. Okay, so that's what the one category we discussed it. In case you missed it, I really recommend you to catch up. They are very useful. You don't need to memorize all of them, but at least if you get some of them, like you will be able to understand the concept. Okay, so those were adverbs for how. We also discussed the adverbs for when. Okay, so let's say he plays football. Okay, what if you want to describe, like, when does he play football? Does he play every day? Okay, or is it some days, or is it never? Okay, or is it often? All of those are describing the when part of the parts of speech. Okay, those are also called adverbs of when. So we discussed them, how to say them in Hindi. Har roz, वह हर रोज फुटबॉल खेलता है. So har roz is, or pratidin, it's an adverb. Okay, har roz. Some days, कभी कभी, वह कभी कभी फुटबॉल खेलता है. Okay, then we discuss some days, right? वह किसी दिन फुटबॉल खेलता है, वह कभी नहीं, never. Okay, कभी नहीं, वह फुटबॉल कभी नहीं खेलता है. Okay, and then often, वह अक्सर फुटबॉल खेलता है. So I mean, I don't want to repeat the whole list because this is sort of a small recap from the previous class. Now we will discuss the other two parts. Okay, as you know, adverbs describe the how, when, and then where, and how often. How often. Okay, so in this class we'll be covering where and the to what extent. Actually, how often is also there, to what extent. So in this class we'll be covering the parts we didn't cover in the previous class, which is where, the location based adverbs, as well as the frequency based. Okay, any questions so far from the topics we covered in the previous class? Anyone, feel free to unmute yourself and then ask. If not, we can continue to start the topic. Okay, all right, so I'm going to erase it. I'm going to start very small because we have students from all levels, right? So I'm going to start small, but then the idea is, like, advanced students will try complicated stuff, and then beginners will build on top of it. So let's say, if I say a very simple thing, and I come to a new city and I ask the question, where is the ATM? The ATM where you get the cash, like, very common question anybody can ask, right? When you go to a given city, how will you ask to someone, where is the ATM? Danaji, you want to unmute yourself and tell us, how will you say, where is the ATM in Hindi?
ATM कहाँ है?
Very good, right? ATM कहाँ है? Okay, awesome. Now let's say JD, let's say she's asking you this question. Okay, you have to respond to her with some answers, and you have to tell her where is the ATM. Okay, ATM, and then you can use adverb basically here. But you don't have to think about what will be your response. Let's say hypothetically, how will you respond to this question?
ATM यहाँ है.
Very good. What did you say? ATM यहाँ है. So what is यहाँ in this case?
Here.
Here. Very good. So he said ATM is here. Okay. So he responded about the where of that question that's being asked. That's an adverb. यहाँ है. Okay. Let's say this question is asked to Risha ji, to you. Okay. And Donna is asking you, ATM कहाँ है? How will you respond to her?
You will give a street name?
Okay, I mean, that's one way for sure. That's a correct one. Like, you can give a street name. But let's say you want to try out something with the adverb. But here's like, you don't know what the adverbs are based on the way we are starting. But let's say build on top of it.
Yeah, I came in late, so I can't remember that. It's
Okay,
very interesting, but I remember.
Let's say you want to say ATM is not here.
Oh, ATM यहाँ नहीं है.
Very good. ATM यहाँ नहीं है. Awesome, right? ATM is not here. Okay. Let's say now you want to say ATM is there. Simple thing, right? No, nothing fancy. Miraji, how will you say ATM is there? And you point out like, there's the ATM.
ATM वहाँ है.
Very good, right? वहाँ है. And वहाँ is there. And then similarly, the negative sentence would be, Miraji?
ATM वहाँ नहीं.
Nahi hai. Awesome. Let's say you want to say things together. ATM is neither here nor there.
ATM यहाँ उधर वहाँ नहीं है.
Okay. ATM.
इधर I don't know.
Okay.
You say that word.
Okay. So you said like, ATM. One is like ATM यहाँ नहीं है. Second one is ATM वहाँ नहीं है. Okay. Let's say you want to emphasize it. You can say ATM यहाँ भी नहीं है. Just to kind of emphasize it, you can put the B word. यहाँ भी नहीं है और वहाँ भी नहीं है. Okay. ATM यहाँ भी नहीं है, वहाँ भी नहीं है. Okay. Just like a slight variation in there. Okay. Okay, let's continue to build on top of it. Let's say you want to say ATM is nowhere. Mujun, how will you say nowhere? Huh? Very good. Very good, right? कहीं भी नहीं है. Awesome. So you can say कहीं भी नहीं है. Okay? Just like for emphasis, either you can say कहीं नहीं है, but if you want to put more emphasis, you can say ATM कहीं भी नहीं है. Okay? So these are the most commonly used where-based Hindi adverbs. Okay? There are two more I can add, but like these are the most common ones. Okay. Let's say you want to say inside and outside. Inside and outside. Let's say you want to say like, ATM is inside the shopping mall. Okay. Or you want to say it's, outside the city. Those are the two more that you can, use commonly. I'm going to erase it. And I'm going to say, how will you say inside and outside if somebody already knows? Let's say, Sharmila ji, how will you say that? Inside and outside.
अंदर है.
अंदर है.
ATM मॉल के अंदर है.
Okay, ATM मॉल के अंदर है. Awesome.
और शहर के बाहर है.
Very good. बाहर है. बाहर. Okay, ATM शहर के बाहर है. Okay, so I don't expect you to memorize all of them, but at a minimum, you should memorize these, location-based adverbs. यहाँ, वहाँ, कहीं नहीं, okay, हर जगह, and then अंदर and बाहर. These are very simple ones. You will hear them pretty frequently, used by the Hindi speakers. Okay, any question, on this one? Ask now if you have a question.
Ashu Ji, so the difference between kahi bhi nahi and kahi nahi is just of emphasis.
That's right.
For nowhere?
That's right. Yes, that's true. Kahin bhi nahi hai. Basically, it's nowhere, right? I mean, you are just like trying to, It's just like when you make a sentence, you sometimes bold it and then you put an underscore also on it, right? So you already have it like kahin nahi hai, and then you're putting underscore on top of it, like kahin bhi nahi hai. Okay. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll write down some sentences and I want you to put in some adverbs there. Okay. And you have to try it out. All of you have to try it out. I may ask some of you, but it means basically the rest of you have to still practice and try it out. Okay. The question I have is, let's say, how will you say this in Hindi? Okay, this one I probably didn't cover it, but let's right now. Not this one actually. So I have this one called let's say you have a sentence called they were playing. Okay, the ask is use an adverb in the sentence. Okay, you have to modify this thing. First, let's try this one. They were playing. How will you say that in Hindi? Let's say, Suvilai, how will you say this in Hindi? They were playing.
they खेल रहे हैं.
Okay, they were playing. Past.
और they खेल रहे थे.
Very good. वे खेल रहे थे. Okay. Now let's say you have to add an adverb in this one. How else can you say the same sentence but with an adverb?
they खुशी से खेल रहे थे.
Okay, very good. वे खुशी से खेल रहे थे. Awesome. Okay, that describes how they were playing. Great. JD.
They kill Yahar Rahate.
Okay, वे you said वे यहाँ खेल रहे थे. Location based adverb. Great. Let's see. Kelly ji.
वे खेल सावधानी से है. सावधानी से थे.
Okay, very good. वे सावधानी से खेल रहे थे. There's one more thing you will learn. Usha Jain also describes it, which is basically instead of say, there are nouns where you can put purvak. Okay, which means the same thing. Okay, which means like carefully. Okay, so both of them are same. Savdhani se or savdhani purvak. Basically, pa with u, va with ra, and then ka. Purvak. Okay, savdhani purvak khel rahe the. Great. Okay, let's see what else. Nandini ji.
Any adverb?
Yeah, any adverb. Right now it's
खेल
open.
रहे थे.
Any adverb.
वे मैदान में खेल रहे थे.
Okay, so you said वे
It's a place. So.
मैदान में. What is मैदान में?
The ground, the playground, no.
Okay,
Ground.
playground. Okay, awesome. वे मैदान में खेल रहे थे. Awesome. Let's say Tisina ji. Yes, Tisina ji, I think you have to unmute yourself. If not, while we're waiting for you, Vidya ji, you want to try it out? Any
प्यार
adverb?
से खेल रहे थे.
Where?
प्यार से.
प्यार से खेल रहे थे. Okay, so just like खुशी से, you said प्यार से. And what does it mean? Lovingly.
Lovingly.
Very good. Yes.
Lovingly.
Yes, lovingly. Awesome. Let's say who else have not asked? Aneska ji, you want to try this out?
I don't know if I'm going to use it right though,
It's
because
okay.
I missed a few classes.
It's okay.
Ve jaldi se
Yeah.
khel rahi the.
Yes, that's
They played quickly.
yes, you can say that. वे जल्दी से खेल रहे थे. It's absolutely correct. वे जल्दी से खेल रहे थे. Sheila ji, anyone else? Yeah, Sheila ji, go for it.
वे दुकान के बाहर खेल रहे थे.
Awesome. So you said वे दुकान के बाहर.
Yes.
दुकान के बाहर. What does it mean?
Outside the shop.
Okay. Outside the shop. Great. Awesome. Anyone else?
Ashu Ji,
Yeah.
जोर से बच्चे जोर से खेल रहे थे.
Okay, you can say that. वे जोर से खेल रहे थे. वे जोर से खेल रहे थे. Anyone else? आनंद
ध्यान से खेल रहे थे.
ध्यान से?
Yes.
Yes, you can say that. ध्यान से. Anyone else? See, your simple sentence, you modified it in so many different ways, right? So that's the beauty of adverb. You can continue to build on top of it. Okay.
Can you say वे दोस्ती के साथ खेल रहे थे?
दोस्ती के साथ, you can say दोस्तों के साथ, okay, which is not an adverb, but that's still a correct sentence. Like they were playing.
Oh, okay.
I think what you're trying to say, they were playing in a friendly manner. I think that's what you're trying to say. But
No, I was going to say with their friends.
with their friends. So then you can say दोस्तों के साथ. Okay, with their friends. So दोस्तों के साथ.
दोस्तों.
Okay, so the reason is basically dost is singular, dost is also plural, but because you have ke saath here, the oblique case of plural dost is doston.
Oh, okay.
That's why it is doston ke saath.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, doston ke saath.
Ashu Ji,
Yeah.
what was Savani said?
Which one? Saudhani se. This one?
Yes. Yeah.
Saudhani is basically, you want to, again, it's carefully, okay? It's basically you don't want to get into trouble. So they were playing defensively. You can say that, like, Saudhani said, let's say you're playing cricket, you're playing very defensively, right? So that's Saudhani in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah?
Anyway.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Ashu Ji,
Yeah?
can you say वे ऐसे खेल रहे हैं?
Okay. Essay?
हाँ.
You can say that. Okay. ऐसे खेल रहे हैं, because this is still describing how. Okay. And essay is basically, it's sort of the context in which you are talking to the other person. Right? I mean, let's say you're talking to the person like, basically in the previous sentence, you already defined essay. And both you, speaker, as well as the listener already know what is the meaning of essay in that sense. But yeah, you can say that वे ऐसे खेल रहे हैं. और rather उनको ऐसे नहीं खेलना चाहिए. Let's say you're playing a game and you see them playing very defensively. Okay, you can say उनको ऐसे नहीं खेलना चाहिए. उनको aggressively खेलना चाहिए. Right? Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So you see, in one sentence we were able to put multiple types of adverbs. We were able to put adverbs which are describing how, ऐसे, सावधानी से, खुशी से, प्यार से, जल्दी से. Okay. जोर से, ध्यान से. We were able to mention about, where वे यहाँ खेल रहे हैं, वे यहाँ नहीं खेल रहे हैं. Okay. We were able to describe, the where also, right? दुकान के बाहर. Okay. And then there was also when. Okay. Anybody can try when. What are some of the when related adverbs we can put in this sentence?
वो सोमवार को खेल रहे थे.
Okay. What about now? Or sorry, not now in this
Abhi?
one. Sorry, now will not
Abhi?
fit here. Yeah, but because this is the, if I change it to hain, then you can say that. Then you can say वे अभी खेल रहे हैं. Okay, in that case this is correct. अभी. Anything else you can try from the when? अभी.
वे कल खेल रहे
थे.
थे.
You can say that. वे कल खेल रहे थे.
आज.
आज. Very good. आज.
Gigi, can we make it a question and say we कब खेल रहे थे? Would that still be the same?
That, like क्या वे कल खेल रहे थे, you mean? So either you can ask the sentence.
When, yeah, with that, that's also an adverb, even though it's a question. Okay?
Which one?
वे कब खेल रहे थे?
कब खेल रहे थे. I see. That's correct, right? वे कब खेल रहे थे. Yep. You can say that. वे कब खेल रहे थे.
वे सारे साल खेल रहे थे.
Very good, right? They were playing the whole years. पूरे साल और सारे साल. सारे साल और साल भर. Which is like Usha Jain, if you read, like if you cover it, she will say how some of those nouns can be modified by adding bhar. महीने भर, साल भर, दिन भर, हफ्ते भर. Okay? हफ्ते भर खेल रहे थे. हफ्ते भर से खेल रहे थे. Okay? So that's 3 types of adverb we just covered. Okay? Now we can also say, can we fit all of them together? And if we do that, what is the order of it? Right? How do I say all of them in just one sentence? And if I do that, is the precedence matter? So we will cover that. Okay? But before that, I want to cover one more type of adverb, which is to what extent. I'm gonna erase some of it. Okay? To what extent. Hope I'm not going too fast. If I do, you let me know and I'm going to slow down. Okay. So now there's a 4th category, which is adverb that helps you answer to what extent. To what extent. Okay. And then some examples that come to mind is they were playing. Like sometimes you say, like, it's very hot. Okay. Sometimes you say too. Okay, too quickly. And these are like, like quickly is already an adverb, but you're putting to in front of it and modifying the adverb itself. Okay, that's basically to the extent, right? I mean, so similarly, like you have very to extremely. Okay, all of those are describing the extent. Okay, little bit. These are all the adverb that describe the extent. Okay, I'm going to say them in Hindi, and then we will try to fit in the given sentence, and then we'll discuss like if all of them are used together, like, or how do you place them. Okay, so how do you say very or quiet in Hindi? Quite big, let's say.
बहुत.
बहुत. Very good.
काफी.
Very good, right? So big is bada, but when you say very big or quite big is बहुत बड़ा. Okay. So let's say you want to say I had fun. How do you say that, Vidya ji, in Hindi? I had fun.
I had fun.
बहुत मजा.
Very good. बहुत मजा आया, right? You'll say मजा आया. मैंने कल movie देखी, मजा आया. I had fun. Okay, but let's say you want to describe कितना मजा आया, right? You can say मुझे बहुत मजा आया, right? So I'm going to write it down. बहुत मजा आया. Okay. It doesn't say the subject basically because it's implied. Like मुझको, to me, lot of pleasure came, right? That's how it is being written. मुझको बहुत मजा आया और हमको बहुत मजा आया. Okay. So that's basically the extent. Let's see, little bit. How will you say little bit in Hindi?
थोड़ी बहुत.
Thodi bahut. Okay, little bit. Thodi bahut.
What is tori si, tori sa? That's not a little bit
No,
also?
that is correct. You can say thoda sa or thodi si or thode se. You can say that. Okay. So let's say you want to say it's little. Let's say let's say you came to my house and I offer you a tea or a coffee. Okay. Let's say you want to use any of these words in that sentence. How will you respond to me and to say like it's sugar is
Sorry, Ashu Ji.
yeah.
Why is thodi bahut? Why is it not thoda bahut? Is that something to do with gender there, or?
You can use both of them.
Oh, it depends upon what follows.
That's right.
Is that right? Okay,
That's
sorry.
right. Yeah. So that's what even for this also, like let's say you want to say like I need a little bit more sugar in the tea. How will you say that? And then because it's tea, or you're talking about sugar, let's say how will you say? And then I think once Kelly ji responds, maybe this will help you even further. Nandini ji.
Dhanyawad ji.
Yeah. So go for it, Kelly ji. How will you say? I need a little bit more sugar, or it's the tea doesn't have it has less sugar.
So what am I asking?
You are responding to me. Let's say I offered you a tea, and you want to say I need a little bit more sugar in it.
Let's see. Mujhe, I don't know if sugar, that's chini, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know if it's masculine. I'm going to say it's feminine. Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mujhe thodi si chini chahiye.
Thodi si chini chahiye. Awesome. Okay. The other way, this is correct. The other way would be, it has less sugar would be, chai mein thodi. Anyone else?
Come.
Very good.
Come.
Yeah.
Come chini.
Okay. थोड़ी चीनी कम है. Awesome. It's interesting. Like it came, but there's a movie called Chini Kam actually. Hindi movie. The person is basically the character in this movie. He's always angry, right? So it's in that context. It's like you need a little bit sugar inside you because you're always angry, right? So it's used in that manner. Okay. So this is basically describing the extent. The same sentences that we were saying before, like they were playing aggressively. Okay. You can say वो बहुत aggressively और बहुत जल्दी से खेल रहे थे. Okay. और वो बहुत तेजी से खेल रहे थे. You are describing the extent. Okay. वे यहाँ बहुत तेजी से खेल रहे थे. Okay. वे कल यहाँ बहुत तेजी से खेल रहे थे. So in one sentence I was able to fit all types of adverbs. Okay. So
Ashu,
yeah.
you tell the sentence that Vidya ji just gave there, the order.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at that order. So chai mein thodi, the kam, like I always think it would be like thodi kam chini.
So that's the thing. So it has a lot of flexibility. Okay, you can put it here. You can put it here. Okay, it's so you there's not that much of a problem even if you want to chai mein thodi kam chini hai. Okay, versus like it's both of them are more or less the same. Which part is throwing you off, Kelly ji? Maybe help me and then.
No, I get that.
You
It's
get
like I always word order is always challenging. for
Yeah,
me.
it is. Hindi is a little bit flexible, as you know, in that sense, right? It's like how you are saying it, right? So it's not going to be like so as you know, like in Hindi is a little bit flexible. So for example, if you were to say, my name is Ron, right? There will be difficulty. You cannot put is here, right? Is my name Ron? It becomes a question. Okay, Ron, my name is. it's you cannot say that. But like in Hindi, there is some agility is there. Okay, so you can say मेरा नाम Ron hai, which is the right order, which is how most of the people will say. But there are cases, and you will see in situations where there is some flexibility there. Okay, where you can say, the person can say Ron naam hai mera, which is almost sounds like a movie dialogue, right? Ron naam hai mera. Okay. The person.
I'm just trying to get, what was that last sentence actually saying? Sorry, I know you just erased it.
Yeah. No. So the sentence was चाय में चीनी कम है. Why don't I let Vidya ji describe that one? Vidya ji, why don't you explain what is it saying?
There was a thoda in there somewhere.
Huh? Thoda.
Yeah.
Yes. चाय में
I
चीनी.
should be. Yeah.
चाय में थोड़ी.
थोड़ी कम है.
हाँ.
English में. I would say in English the tea needs and then the opposite is some more sugar. So
Yeah.
it has less sugar. थोड़ी चीनी कम है.
Wait, are you asking for it? Or is it?
No,
Or is it
you are saying that tea has not enough sugar.
That's right. It has.
Yeah.
There is less sugar,
Yep.
less sugar in tea.
And when you want to say, I want a little bit sugar in my tea, then you say, मुझे चाय में थोड़ी चीनी चाहिए.
But this one is saying, sorry, I don't know why this is spinning my head out, but so this one is saying there's not enough sugar in my tea, or I only want a little, chai mein thodi chini kam hai.
There's two ways to say it. One is like, I need more sugar, where you are directly saying, that's a direct speech, like, I need more sugar. The other one is like, let's say you go to a restaurant. One is like, you can say, I need spices. Okay, bring me some spices. Other one is you are saying like, there isn't spice in this food.
It's not spicy enough.
It's not spicy
So
enough. Yep.
So this one is saying it's not sugary. It doesn't have enough sugar in it.
That's right. चाय में थोड़ी चीनी कम है. So when I hear it, I'm gonna say, oh, मैं थोड़ी चीनी लेकर आता हूँ. Let me bring some sugar for you. That's how.
Okay.
It's not that you want a little bit of sugar, it's that you want a little bit more of sugar in your tea.
That's right.
Then it's a polite complaint.
That's right.
Right?
You can-
It's like there's it's just a little bit of sugar in here.
Yeah.
Can I have some more? Kind
Yep.
of, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So that's a common way you're saying.
It is pretty common that you will hear from Hindi speakers. चाय में, नमक के बारे में तो you will hear pretty often. Like my wife, whenever we go to any restaurant, like always like the salt, like नमक कम है. Like so you will hear this thing part pretty common. नमक is salt, right? नमक कम है.
So not enough salt.
Not enough.
That's
That's right. It's the
Okay.
not enough salt. नमक कम है. Okay. चीनी कम है.
So she says that so that we'll put extra salt in, or
Yeah, it's all to do with the verb, isn't it? Because the verb kamna is to wish. So you're wishing for a little bit more salt. You're wishing for a little bit more sugar.
That's right.
okay.
Right?
I thought it was less. I thought the gum was less. No
Sorry,
wonder.
this is just a statement, isn't it? You're making a polite statement saying there is less sugar in the tea. That's all. Is that not it? Is there a different nuance in Hindi then, Ashu Ji?
Which one? I think I'm missing.
I mean, just saying it's less sugar. There's
That-
little less sugar. Little less sugar in tea. That's how I'm literally translating it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you are translating it correct. That's how I will.
Little less sugar.
That's right.
The tea has little less sugar.
So-
Rather than saying give me more sugar.
That is correct, right? It's it can be said in like, so here's the thing, like, if somebody, you are coming to my house and you are saying like, I ask you like, चाय कैसी है? ये चाय अच्छी है, थोड़ी चीनी कम है. Okay, it has little less sugar. I can interpret it, which is how you're saying it. One is like, you prefer the chai with less sugar. In that case, I was like, okay, अच्छा है. Okay. The other one, I can ask you like, do you need more sugar? क्या आपको थोड़ी चीनी और चाहिए? Then at least you can say हाँ और चाहिए, or you can say नहीं, मुझे ऐसी ही पसंद है. I like it this way only. Okay. Now in that context, help me here. Like, which variation I can try to help you avoid or to strengthen this concept.
Would it be helpful for everyone to determine whether it's a statement or a question? Like, please, like an imperative question, please give me a little less sugar. And then it's a little more clear what Torikam means. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So give an example. Maybe that will help me. So basically,
so the way I would say it is like, chai Torikam chini dijiye.
Very good. You can say as an imperative. That's what you would say. Chai mein thodi kam chini डालिए.
Dijiye.
Yeah, dijiye or डालिए.
Oh, daliye.
Either way is fun. Correct. चाय में थोड़ी कम चीनी दीजिए. Which is correct. Which is basically you are politely asking someone, don't put just a little bit sugar in the tea. Okay. Does it help, Kelly ji, or थोड़ी कम?
I mean, it just looks like one is kind of a request, and they're both requests. Like one is what I want, and one is kind of a polite complaint. Again, not enough.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's where it gets a little confusing.
Yeah. Right. I think we'll move on. So these were 4 types of Hindi adverb that we covered. Okay. I'm going to spend some time on the order of it. It's a very important one, so I want you to focus on it. But in the meantime, a quick homework exercise is like, I want you guys to try out at least like 2 sentences for each of these categories. To when, how, where, and to what extent. These kind of like adverbs that we have. Like at least 2 sentences. At least write it down and then see if you can, in your day-to-day conversation, which of those you will introduce. Okay, that's more important, right? That you introduce them in your conversation. Okay, now we'll talk about the order. So as you know, Hindi is a SOV language, right? So you have a subject, object, verb. Okay, you have a subject, and then which is followed by object, and then which is followed by verbs. Okay, verb. So a very simple sentence would be that we have is John football khelega. So you have a John football, which is an object. John football khelega. Okay, simple. John football khelega. Subject, object, and verb. Now let's say you want to put an indirect object in this sentence. So first is you have subject, object, verb. Then let's say John state के लिए और city के लिए, state के लिए फुटबॉल खेलेगा. This is also very good, which is you have a subject, you have object is this one, football, and this is the verb. Who is John playing for? That's basically your indirect object. So the indirect object comes before the direct object. That's also an order in the Hindi sentence. Subject, indirect object, object, and verb. Okay, hopefully this should be clear so far. Then comes, let's say you want to say John will play, next year John will play for the state. No, next year John will play football for the state. How will you say that? Dhanraj, good to have you. How will you say that? John will play football for the state next year.
John कल साल
Next year.
अगले साल
Very good. John, अगले साल.
फुटबॉल खेल रहे हैं.
No, so basically it's future indefinite, right? So try the same one. He will play. John, अगले साल.
खेलिया.
Very good. खेलेगा. Right? खेलेगा. Okay. John अगले साल football खेलेगा. So you still have subject. Then you have अगले साल. Adverb. And then you have object followed by verb. So you have subject, object, verb, but you are putting adverb after subject. Okay. However, Hindi has flexibility in that sense. You can put adverb before subject as well. Okay. So I can say the same thing, but I can say अगले साल. I can say अगले साल, which is to give more emphasis on the next year. अगले साल John football खेलेगा. It is allowing you to do that. Like you can do that. Even in English also, John will play football next year. You can say next year John will play football, right? Even English is allowing you to do that. But Hindi is equally flexible. You can put अगले साल before the subject. Okay, and that's completely fine. Okay, any questions so far?
Where do you put the descriptor of state के लिए?
You can put before the object. Oh, sorry, before the indirect object will come before the object. So you can put अगले साल John state के लिए फुटबॉल खेलेगा. ओके, अगले साल जॉन स्टेट के लिए फुटबॉल खेलेगा. Okay, now how about the different kind of adverbs? What is the order of it? So that's the number one thing you have to remember. Just as a, like in the SOV framework, adverb can come before the subject or after the subject. Okay, and part number two, even within adverbs, what is the order? You have first comes time typically, followed by place, followed by manner. Okay, so first you will put time based adverbs, followed by place, and then manner. Okay, so you already have John अगले साल. You already have John अगले साल, which is basically next year, football खेलेगा. Let's say you have to put place and manner in the same sentence. How can you modify the sentence and put a place based and a manner based adverb in the same sentence? So let's try. We already have time. Let's put just time and place, and then after that let's put time, place and manner, all of them. So I'm going to ask, let's say whoever, let's say Suvilai ji, you want to give this one a try? Put time as well as place.
अगले साल दिल्ली में.
Huh?
दिल्ली में.
Okay.
Place is stadium. Stadium
Okay.
में.
That is correct. You can put stadium में. But let's say you okay, stadium में is correct. You can say अगले साल stadium में football खेलेगा. You have a noun followed by a postposition. But remember, like we said, like here, there, nowhere. Let's say you have to try some of those adverbs. Let's say you want to say here. Very good, right? अगले साल. Very good. अगले साल यहाँ जॉन अगले साल यहाँ फुटबॉल खेलेगा. Okay. Now we have time based followed by place. Okay. But even with that, like even though typically we have time, place and manner. But even if you change, there's no problem. You can still say John यहाँ अगले साल football खेलेगा. So it's not like you made any mistake or anything like that. The person who is hearing it, they will still process it in the same manner. Okay. But typically it's time, place and manner. Okay. Now let's see. You want to have manner also. Donaji, you want to try this one out?
Okay. John अगले साल यहाँ आसानी फुटबॉल खेलेगा.
आसानी.
Easily.
Okay.
आसान से.
Okay. आसानी से. Very good. आसानी से. Very good. Football.
Okay. फुटबॉल खेलेगा.
Awesome. Okay. John अगले साल यहाँ आसानी से फुटबॉल खेलेगा. So you have time, place and manner. Okay. All of them are here. Okay. But again, as I said, like, don't get confused even if somebody's changing the order, which is absolutely correct. Okay. Any questions so far? Before we move to the next section of the class, which is the listening one. Okay.
So time, place, and manner can all be interchangeable. Any one of the three can be anywhere.
Yes. Try it out. Why don't you try it out? Modify the sentence and say it in a different way.
John, Yahan, Agle Sal, Achese, football, Kalega.
That's correct. You want to make one more variation?
John, Achese, Yahan, Agle Sal, football, Kalega.
Very good. That's absolutely correct. You can say that. Okay. So that's basically placement. This section is basically placement of Hindi adverbs in a given sentence. Okay. You can put it after the subject. You can put it before the subject. Okay. Okay. So now I'll move to the next section. Let me see if there are any questions on the Facebook side. But good to see people participating. I'm glad, like Ilanji, Ash, Karandai, all of you are, Dev, all of you are, and then Minji, all of you are trying different variations. Okay. Now this is the listening part. In case if you missed the previous what I said, I'm gonna quickly repeat it, but I won't be spending too much time on what I said in the story in the previous class. But as I said, like, you can go to this page tiny.cc/Hindi University and you will see a small link for Hindi story, which is like a developing story. Every week we are writing and we are building on top of it. Okay, so I'm gonna just say it what I said in the previous class, but we will not repeat it in this class. Okay. Ready? I'm gonna go a little bit fast this time. So Ron एक अच्छा मछुआरा था. वह रोज नदी के किनारे जाता था और मछलियां पकड़ता था. Okay, we covered in the previous class. Ron लगभग 40 मछलियां बेचकर अपना परिवार चलाता था. हमेशा अपने बच्चों के लिए कुछ खरीदता था. कभी खिलौने, कभी कपड़े, तो कभी बच्चों की मनपसंद की गोलियां. Okay, this is the part we did and we deconstructed it in the previous class. Now the story continues. Okay, you have to listen to it. Okay, don't try to read it right now because then it will defeat the purpose. So even if you have it in front of you, just listen to what I'm saying and try to see how much of that you can process. Okay, I'll say it slowly. Ron अपना जीवन सादगी से जीता था. Okay, there may be some new words. Okay, I'll repeat it again. Ron अपना जीवन सादगी से जीता था. रॉन हमेशा खुश रहता था. रॉन हमेशा खुश रहता था. ओके. एक दिन बहुत बारिश हो रही थी. एक दिन बहुत बारिश हो रही थी. ओके. बादल गरज रहे थे. बादल गरज रहे थे. बिजलियां कड़क रही थी. ओके. बिजलियां कड़क रही थी. जोर जोर से हवा भी चल रही थी. ओके. जोर जोर से हवा भी चल रही थी. और तभी सारे शहर की बिजली चली गई. ओके. और तभी सारे शहर की बिजली चली गई. Okay, lot of sentences, so I'm going to say it one more time. रॉन अपना जीवन सादगी से जीता था. रॉन हमेशा खुश रहता था. एक दिन बहुत बारिश हो रही थी. बादल गरज रहे थे. बिजलियां कड़क रही थी. और जोर जोर से हवा भी चल रही थी. और तभी सारे शहर की बिजली चली गई. ओके. रॉन का छोटा बेटा जो 5 साल का है, रॉन के पास आया. रॉन का छोटा बेटा जो 5 साल का है, रॉन के पास आया और बोला, पापा मुझे डर लग रहा है. ओके. रॉन का छोटा बेटा जो 5 साल का है, रॉन के पास आया और बोला, पापा मुझे डर लग रहा है. रॉन बोला, तू बिल्कुल मत डर, पापा है ना यहाँ. ओके. रॉन बोला, तू बिल्कुल मत डर, पापा है ना यहाँ. So it was a long paragraph. Okay, I deliberately introduced a lot of new vocabulary words. I don't expect you to get the whole thing or to know each and every word, but the whole point is to get the summary of it. Okay.
Ashu Ji,
Yes.
the last sentence, I didn't get it.
Okay.
I'm writing it down.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it last part. Okay, so last part is रॉन का छोटा बेटा जो 5 साल का है, रॉन के पास आया और बोला, पापा मुझे डर लग रहा है. पापा मुझे डर लग रहा है. रॉन बोला, तू डर मत, पापा है ना यहाँ. पापा है ना यहाँ.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Got
Right.
it.
So long paragraph. Okay. As I said, you just have to get overall gist of it. Okay. Then we can go in detail. But let's see who can share what's going on at a very high level. Don't go into the nitty gritty and just translate it. Just a summary.
In English or Hindi mein?
English is fine.
Okay. So Ron lived very happily wherever he lived, and then he one day there was a lot of rain that fell, and
from what I can understand, the city where they lived got flooded.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of noise, and the city got flooded. And then Ron also had a little boy, 5 years old, and he said, "Papa, I'm very afraid." And then Ron said, "Don't be afraid. I'm here."
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to add in it? That's amazing.
Yeah, Barish.
Barish?
Rahi thi.
Okay.
So it was heavy rain, or there was lightning and thunder,
Okay.
and because of lightning and the thunder, electricity went down.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. That's
Oh,
amazing.
okay.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
didn't get that.
Okay. Amazing. Anybody else?
There was a lot of heavy wind,
There was a very heavy wind. Okay. Amazing. Okay.
and because of all of that, the entire city,
Okay.
the electricity of the entire city went.
Oh,
That's right. That's right.
yeah, I didn't understand that. Okay.
Yeah, because it was very, very, very difficult sentence, right? I mean, I deliberately put it there. Okay, so what I will do, I'm going to stop the broadcast, but in case if you want to know the detail of this paragraph, you can still continue to follow this page, and we will put it there, next week. But I'm going to stop the broadcast.